Yeah, welcome back to the conversation on Bright Radio TV, your home of talk and entertainment. It's good to be here again on the conversation. My name is Ugomado, and from Abuja, the city of Nigeria. I say welcome once again. Okay, today on the conversation, as we usually do, is to analyze, to criticize political issues, political actions, the impact of governance on the people. And today wouldn't be an exception. Rather, it promises to be quite interesting. Another package on the conversation. We're not leaving out issues that bother us as a people politically. Because the essence of governance is to provide service, is to promote, is to protect, is to preserve peace, unity, progress, social well-being of the people. And that's why it is called a leadership. But it does this under the rule of law. I'll have a wonderful guest today. One that you'll be pleased to have in the studio this morning to do justice to what he knows how to do best. We'll go on a short break. When we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. You are still watching the conversation on Bright Radio TV, your home of talk and entertainment. I did talk about governance, I did talk about the society. It's basic that no society can thrive without leadership and the rule of law. Ordinarily, what we'll have will be anarchy everywhere. And law exists to establish a healthy balance among competing demands. And here today, we are talking about the rule of law and leadership, the Nigerian case. And I have a guest, a consummate legal practitioner, an enigma of sorts, one that the learned people refer to as the teacher. You can't talk about the legal profession today in Nigeria without making reference to no other person than Professor Ernest Ojukwu, SAN. And he is our guest today on the conversation. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure to have you in the studio.
My pleasure to be here.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir, we're talking about the rule of law and then leadership. You are a learned professor, as they refer to you. I want you to take us through, tell us what exactly the rule of law stands for.
Now, the rule of law is obedience to good governance.
Okay.
For it.
Okay.
We assume that any nation, any civilized nation,
yes,
should have some set rules.
Okay.
Under which you operate.
Okay.
And if we don't have such rules, people will not know the left from the right.
Yes.
And anybody can take any decision and take any action. And those actions might affect the other person who exists at the same place.
Yes.
In a way that is inimical to survival. And therefore we insist that for any society to exist, they must agree on some set rules
to guide them
in day-to-day living.
Okay.
And those rules are basically what we describe as rule of law.
Okay, then leadership. Give us your considered opinion on leadership as a concept.
Well, the leadership as a concept is the principle of having a set of people to represent the general public, the populace. Yes. Because you can't have 150 million people lead themselves at the same time.
Yes.
Everybody has...
They must have representatives.
At some level.
Yes.
You may be a leader at your own level, but somebody else will be leading at another level. So it is basically a principle of governance where you have representatives at different...
and again, I understand that the essence of leadership is to work with people in harmony to achieve a set goal.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, taking from that, how would you access, or how would you appraise the responsibility of our government to the adherence of the rule of law, being a constitutional democracy that we are guided by certain set standards of law? How would you appraise the successive governments in adherence to the rule of law?
Well, we have had a challenge over years. Remember, for a long time we had military rule.
Yes.
And though they operated under some laws,
yes,
basically the laws were not made by us. And that was the first challenge.
Yes.
Rule of law as a general principle,
yes,
must have the laws themselves must have some democratic basis.
Okay. If
you just become a dictator and impose rules,
yes,
on principle, yes, that on the surface, yes, if you obey those rules, you are obedient to rule of law. But the basis of the rule of law, yes, is that we have to decide what laws we should
guide us.
Yeah, since we transited to the civil government,
yes,
we've had challenges.
Yeah, since 1999.
Yeah, we've had challenges.
Yeah, would you say that governments over time have adhered strictly to the rule of law?
Well, not strictly, but we had a very strong obedience to rule of law under the late Yaradua.
Okay, and yes, everyone keeps singling him. They single him out at every given point in time that he had respect for the rule of law.
He had respect for the rule of law and to the human being generally. Because if you don't have respect to the rule of law, you don't have respect for your other citizens.
Yeah.
You respect the dignity of human beings.
Yes, dignity.
And that was the basis of his adherence to the principles of rule of law.
Yes.
Since the passing of President Yaradua,
yes,
we've had more challenges by our leaders.
Okay.
On rule of law.
Yes, because we've had incessant cases of unjustifiable arrests, detention, unfair trials, and all that, and even Amnesty International and all other human rights, other civil society organizations have condemned this as should not be obtainable in a democracy such as ours.
Yeah, from the statistics we have already, yes, from some field surveys, yes, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
We have more challenges,
okay,
right now than ever before.
Oh.
Between 1999 and today, we've had more challenges in obedience to rule of law,
yes,
good governance,
yes,
relating to abuse of human rights, yes, and so on.
Yes.
It's been an increase, drastic increase. We have public.
But this is not good for the growth and the development of democracy.
100%. Once we have more challenges on rule of law and democracy, yes, there's no way we can grow as a nation.
Yes.
Economies thrive on some freedom. If we don't have that freedom, we will have foreign investors coming here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Been very interesting with our own Professor Ojukwu. We will go on a short break. The conversation continues in a bit. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back from that short break. We are still with Professor Ojukwu, SAN, on the rule of leadership and the rule of law and leadership in Nigeria. You can join the conversation via our phone number 08128446000, 08128446000, or any of our social media handles at BRTV Africa. Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay, Prof.
Yeah.
Some people have said that the 1999 Constitution as amended, which was prepared and handed over to us by the military, yes, in writing, it represents a federal system and federalism, but in practice is not the same. We'll go to another question from that. What's your take on this, Prof?
Well, the Constitution already prescribes limitations between the different governments,
okay,
state and federal and local governments.
Yes.
What the problem has been is that a lot of functions or responsibility has been placed on the federal government.
Yes.
And the more than the state.
Yes. So the two levels of government do not share equal powers.
Yes, they don't.
As should obtain in a federalism.
Well, you have to decide the kind of federalism you want.
Yes, okay.
Remember, we didn't have that decision.
Yes. But if you look at the opening page of the Constitution, you will say we.
Well, you know,
I've agreed.
It's an argument we can never end, whether it's our own or not our own.
Yes.
Of course, at the point of transition,
yes,
the military had.
I think Nigerians just needed, something to go.
So they were ready to go away.
Yes.
And so a committee was set up and so on and so forth, and they drafted something for us.
Okay.
Now, the important point is the respect. For me, is the respect each government has
for the Constitution.
In the Constitution.
Even if it's not complete,
it's not that good.
Yes.
If you respect the words of the Constitution, the provisions of the Constitution,
yes,
we probably will not have too much changes.
Yes.
The major problem is that respect we don't have
for the rule of for the Constitution. Okay. If you look at the non-adherence completely by governments to the rule of law, can you ascribe it to an aftermath of military incursions in Nigerian politics?
It may be. The military has a lot to do with our...
Yeah, because some people have opined that it's like our psyche was bastardized by the military.
I think so, but remember too, we already had some cases too before the military intervention in 1966.
Yes.
They having some disobedience to court orders and some rules by the civilian government in those days.
Yes.
But the growth or the deterioration in obedience to the rule of law was worse during the military rule. Of course, they dictated the rules, and even when they dictated the rules, they disobeyed the rules they dictated to say.
Yes.
Now, we have carried on that haste
into democracy.
And the basic problem about obedience to rule of law is dishonesty. Once you are dishonest, you disobey laws. It's not just that one of the problems we have not been able to isolate.
Yes.
Is that the basis for disobedience of law and of governance principles is the culture of dishonesty in our leadership.
And this disobedience to the rule of law as enshrined in the Constitution, should it not be punishable by law to serve as a deterrent, and so that we can uphold at all times the Constitution as a supreme governing law of the land?
That's my own proposal. My proposal is that we should push to make disobedience to our laws, basically like orders of court, to make it a crime.
Okay.
Yes, we should make it a crime, a high crime, and particularly with respect to leaders. Anybody, the agents of government who disobey the rule of law, abuse human rights, disobey court orders, should be subjected to criminal process, just as armed robbers and kidnappers are subjected to criminal processes. Because it is the fundamental basis of our survival.
Yes.
And the moment we have developed this culture of disobedience, we're going to go down.
Is that not the reason why we have so much impunity in the land?
Yeah, there's a great hell of impunity. There's a total misgovernance going on right now. And unless we stand up as civil society to insist on obedience to rule of law, our country will deteriorate in all respects.
I've come across a lot of papers presented by you, a lot of books you've written and contributed to both locally and internationally. In your assessment, are the three arms of government independent in Nigeria?
Independent, what do you mean by independent?
The doctrine of separation of powers, yes.
Well, the executive is very strong in the country, very, very strong.
Okay.
The legislature is a bit striving to give the
achieve that autonomy and independence.
They've got the law, and in general practice, they have had some say in their own management of their own system.
Yes. Would you make particular reference to the 8th National Assembly?
Yeah, National Assembly has done well for years, except for one or two interferences. They have actually tried as an independent arm of government in this country for a long time. In fact, they have had more share than others, and they have insisted on protecting themselves at all costs without protecting us.
Would you ascribe this to the quality of leadership or the nature or the resilience of the leadership of the National Assembly now, unlike before?
Well, the leadership is a bit strong because they were able to put themselves in a political group, and they're using that muscle to assert their own independence. So many times how the organ acts depends on how strong politically they are. If they are not politically strong, they may not be able to survive. But main reason why in some years back they were not strong enough is that the leaders were more interested in amassing wealth.
The leaders of the National Assembly
were more interested in putting things in
very
their pocket.
Very good point there, Prof.
Rather than focusing on legislating as their principal function.
Okay, wow, beautiful.
But you talked about independence. We haven't talked about the judiciary. Maybe you
okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
That's where the problem is.
So are you saying that the judiciary is not independent yet?
They are not at all independent. You know, there are many indices who decide the independence of the judiciary. But the one major key is ability to enforce the orders.
Yes.
Our judiciary is totally weak with respect to our ability to enforce our orders. Why
is there this weakness?
Well, the executive has thrived by trampling on the independence of the judiciary for many years, and historically starting with the military. But at this time of our history, this is the worst time who have experienced disobedience to court orders more than ever before. Even under the military, they didn't disobey court orders as we have experienced in the recent time.
Okay, that's quite instructive from Professor Ojukwu. Okay, we will go on a short break. The conversation returns in a bit. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. You are still watching the conversation on Bright Radio TV, your home of talk and entertainment. We are still looking at the issue of the rule of law and leadership with Professor Ojukwu, SAN, as our guest in the studio this morning. Prof, I would like to ask a question has to do with the Constitution. Do you ascribe, okay, there is think there's a call. Okay, let's. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Okay, it seems we've lost that call. Okay, you can do well by calling back the line. Okay, Prof, how would you ascribe to calls for constitutional amendment, partial or full review of the constitution?
With respect to which areas of generally?
Yes, generally, because a lot of people have picked holes in certain provisions of the constitution as being either ambiguous or vague.
We have had some constitutional amendments for some time.
Yes.
So it's an ongoing work. As long as we find need, we should continue to focus on constitutional amendments to help us in our governance.
Yes.
Now, you remember we said the constitution wasn't given by ourselves. So the other argument is that we should just dump it.
Okay.
Have total one.
Prepare a new constitution
based on
punctual
discussion. Discussion based on our own sovereignty and our own rights.
Yes.
The last president, Jonathan agreed and inaugurated the
conference. Yes.
Even though he still didn't meet some people's expectations.
Yes, sir. That brings me to this question. We have we've had series of conferences, obviously to address the imbalances in the system. The latest is like the one you just talked about in 2014, and we appropriate so much in terms of resources, to convoke these conferences, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. Should we still continue in this style?
Very sad that President Jonathan did not sign up with the outcomes of that conference after he wasted the resources.
But some people are saying that the APC-led government of President Muhammadu Buhari has refused to look at that document.
Why would they look at it when the government that inaugurated the conference had the bills to sign? Why would
did they have time to do that before they left?
All the bills were ready. The National Assembly prepared all the bills with respect to implementing the constitutional conference result. And Jonathan, for one reason or another, just refused to sign any of them. Even if he was not happy with some, he should have signed some. There's no way all of them could have been that bad. So you can't blame any government for not thinking about it when you had a chance to do so yourself.
Okay, sir. If we look at the crisis going on in various parts of the country and agitations that culminated in the clamor for restructuring, people are saying, let there be restructuring. Some people are saying, let us practice true federalism. In your own learned experience and opinion, what is your take?
Well, the general reason, the only thing people mean by restructuring is to give the opportunity for states to get more money from their own resources.
Okay.
And
so that means they should review the system of allocation and the percentages and all that.
Basically, that's what restructuring is all about.
Okay.
Give us more money.
Okay, what of powers? What of powers? Devolution of powers.
Yeah, that's what it means. If you give us more money, so we can also decide things ourselves.
Because now, as we operate, there are certain items or elements that are on the executive list, and some people are saying, please devolve power and let some of these things trickle down to the state so that they can have power to develop their state at their own pace. And
for example,
to the
state police. If you give a state,
are you a proponent of the state police?
100%.
But don't you think that the governors, as it is, who hijack the system to their favor?
It's our job to.
What is happening at the federal level? Some people will tell you that the federal uses the security agencies, they call it federal might, to suppress opposition and perceived enemies of the state.
We still have a federal police anyway, that will have some overriding powers in respect to certain jurisdictions, as it is done in other places where we have the same. But it's all about our human being. It's not about the law.
It's not about the law.
Yeah. So that ability or inability to manage a system, it depends on our leaders and representatives, and therefore is a burden on us to make sure we either have those who want or throw out those who don't want. We can't be complaining that governors do this when it gets to election. We allow them to we allow such human beings to become governors.
Okay.
So it is the human being that is the problem, not our system.
Okay. Okay, sir. A quick one on the issue of corruption. What is your take in terms of tackling corruption? Because some people have said that the APC-led government, came on the mantra of, fighting corruption. Yes, they've started the process. However, it is lopsided. And some people are saying, yes, they are actually fighting corruption. What's your take on this?
Nobody's fighting any corruption. Corruption is still as it is. It's even worse now than before. There is no system in place that has shown an example of what we mean by fighting corruption. Yes, one or two of our agencies, like the EFCC.
Yes, because I was coming to EFCC, DSS, ICPC.
The agencies have done some. They're much better than they used to be. They're doing.
They said they claim they've secured certain convictions of high-profile convictions.
They've done that. There are also many cases they have not done well, but they're growing in importance. But the problem is not just a focus on EFCC. You can't fight corruption from an agency that focuses on sanction. Sanction is not how to fight corruption. It's only one aspect of it, and it's a very small percentage of a war against corruption.
Okay.
A war against corruption has to do with identifying the cultural trend at different levels of our lives.
Okay.
And you need, for example, basically more than 50% focus on education and reorientation. Focus. That's 100%. I mean, 50% or more should focus on education and reorientation.
To discourage.
Oh yes.
In the first place.
That's where you start from. And then you also focus another chunk of a strong percentage on what I call the opportunity, removing the opportunities for corruption.
Okay.
Because corruption is a crime of opportunity. And you may have 10 people here and they're all saintly people. But when you create the environment and allow them to steal, 2 people may steal. And if you don't stop those 2 people, it may increase to 4. So if you remove the things that will attempt them to steal, then they will not steal.
So the opportunity should not be there.
Our structure, our system creates the opportunity for corruption. And so if you don't eliminate those opportunities, the corruption will continue to thrive. So government has not focused on education and reorientation. 50% of fight against corruption. They have not focused on the removal of opportunities for corruption, which is 35% of the fight against corruption. They have not focused on appointing the right people to man the right leadership positions that are genuine and honest.
Not based on sentiments and tribal.
Whose body language and actions will showcase an anti-corruption corrupt life. That is 10% of the fight against corruption. Government has only focused on about 2 to 5%, which is a sanction.
So the government needs to do much more than it's doing.
They have not started at all.
Yeah, because some people see it as grandstanding and using it to even witch hunt perceived enemies.
They have not even started.
Okay, sir. Something happened at the opening of the just concluded MBA conference, 58th annual MBA conference in Abuja, where the president and commander-in-chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, did say that national security should rise above the rule of law. What's your take on that? Because I know it sparked a whole lot of mixed reactions.
The president must have been ill-advised in making that statement. If you read the statement, you see at the point he made a statement about rule of law being subjected to national security.
National security.
It's almost disjointed from the other things he was saying. And you could see somebody else has included that just.
So that means that speech delivery wasn't coherent.
Yeah, the president was ill-advised in making that statement. The national security is part of the principles of rule of law. If you look at our constitution, it's one of the grounds of why the constitution is there.
Yes.
To give us peace and security.
Yes.
And so the obedience to the rule of law means you are going to have peace and security. If you create a situation where there is disobedience to the rule of law, the thing that will happen is that there will be insecurity.
Yes.
The effect is people take laws into their hands. Yes. And that's the effect of Boko Haram. When we killed the leader, they had to go back to the bush and say, look, we're going to revenge. And that's what we're suffering today. So the rule of law is what gives us peace and security, not the other way around. And therefore, subjecting our rule of law principle to peace and security is a mispoint. If you look at the single principle of the rights of each individual, for example, freedom of the citizen, which apparently, if you read the next sentence following that speech, the president now referred to people's rights, different rights, being subjected to our. You find that basically probably referring to what the government has been doing for some time, disobeying court orders.
And then holding certain people
in detention,
unjustifiably in detention.
And it quotes the court decisions which to support that principle. And those court decisions were not stated in relation to those principles which the president had stated in that speech. The courts had said, in you coming to ask us for bail, if we find a reason that you will go to commit a crime again, that's basically what it is, and that's been our law. As one of the conditions for granting bail, that there's nothing to show that you're going to go back to the crime. Of course, if they say evidence they're going to go back to the crime, why should we give you bail? Just for you to go and commit crime. But it is the court to determine whether or not that those conditions are fulfilled, and not for the president to tell us that.
Okay, sir. What is your assessment of this government in economic revival, security restoration, and tackling corruption? These are the three cardinal objectives that they brandished to Nigerians in 2015, being their plan or their manifesto, what they intend to do for Nigerians in 3 years and now of their being in government. What is your take on the performance?
Well, on economy, based on what we hear, because some of us are not economists, so we don't understand
the dynamics.
But based on the problems that we were confronted with 3 years ago, it seems to me there's a fair government has taken fair decisions.
But some other people are of contrary opinion that the economy is rather squeezed. It's not buoyant.
It is not buoyant because there's a disconnect between government, between the people and our president.
That's
and so the body language and the actions the president takes will have an impetus on how the economy will move further. So you remember, unfortunately, for some time he was moving very well, and in other areas we are not seeing him join us in the field, so we have no response.
Because like you said, people are saying that there's no connect between the president and his people. He doesn't address Nigerians, on a regular basis, and he
doesn't mingle with us.
He doesn't mingle with the people.
We need to see the president.
He just excluded himself and kept himself.
We need to see the president. We should be hearing from his other staff. We should feel the presence of the president. If we feel the presence of the president, that may help our economy, because we need to know that there's governance. By staying away from us, people are not even reinvesting their own money because they're afraid.
That's confidence. They need to hear from.
That's the part. That's the problem. We need to see the present.
Security challenges. What's your take on it?
Very poor. Very poor. And that's why people like us are insisting that we should have state police. But you see what has happened with the conflicts in some regions.
And it's still ongoing. And they're killing people endlessly.
Sure. Cultism. going ahead in some places, even as far as Zamfara State. And so we need government to rise up.
Yeah, but sir, if you come to this issue of cultism, there are certain reports that most of these political leaders are the ones behind this cult activities, because they empower people to help them manipulate the system, the process, thuggery, ballot box snatching and all that, during elections. And when they equip these young men and others, with various arms and ammunition, I mean, the process of retrieval is not possible. And these people now, move into the society to perpetrate evil and other criminal acts.
That is true, and that's where the civil society should stand up. We should get our energies together, put our strength together, and start rising up against the few leaders who are keeping us down.
Yes.
With respect to everything, security, peace, economy, and all that.
Oh, it's been quite interesting. A discussion with Professor Ernest Ojukwu, SAN, on the rule of law and leadership in Nigeria. Prof, on a parting note, 2019 beckons on Nigerians, the general elections, and everywhere is already agog. We are inundated by their activities, their views, and what have you, whether they are true, whether they are supposed to be, or whether they're just there to sway the voters in their favor. What do you have to tell Nigerians?
Nigerians have to decide for themselves this time around on whether or not they should have a government and of their own choice. And they should insist that they only will listen and vote in people who will lead them properly. They should avoid being bribed to vote. They must get a card to vote. They must insist their votes will count, and our courts should help. They should know, they should be
uphold.
They should understand that if they continue to empower, because that's what the decisions have done over years, to empower those who have rigged the election to remain in government, we will continue to have this vicious circle.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. You've heard from Prof. This is a call to all Nigerians to go get your PVC, vote right, and ensure that your votes count, to ensure that we enthrone the right leadership come 2019. Okay, it's a wrap on the conversation on the breakfast show on Bright Radio TV, your home of talk and entertainment. The conversation returns to you same time tomorrow by His grace. At the top of the hour at 9, Sports Attack comes your way. Stay with us. Sir,
now tell me why we have